An unbiased media environment that both investigates and reports the news is critical to the functioning of any society. And I know Kenya shares these values, so thank you for playing a critical role in democracy. As Andrew mentioned, late afternoon on Friday, I presented my credentials to President Kenyatta, and I am delighted that this press conference is one of my first official acts as the United States Ambassador to Kenya. I was honored to be asked by President Biden to serve as the United States Ambassador to the Republic of Kenya. Our two countries enjoy a strong partnership, working together to promote democratic values, strengthen security cooperation, advance mutually beneficial economic prosperity, bolster Kenya's regional role, and increase health cooperation. I intend to deepen this already dynamic and positive relationship. This morning, I participated in a remembrance of the 24th anniversary of the 1998 embassy bombing. I paid tribute to the 213 Americans and Kenyans who were taken from us, including 44 members of this embassy community. There are still 95 people on our mission team who were working at the time of the attack, and I am in awe of their dedication. As I stand in front of the embassy's memorial to the victims of that terrible day, I'm reminded of our obligation to work together to build peace in our communities and a better future for all. I ask that you all join me in a moment of silence for those who lost their lives on October 7, 1998. Thank you. The coincidence of my arrival with the upcoming national elections makes this an even more poignant time to get on the ground and witness Kenya's vibrant democracy in action. As President Biden said, democracy does not happen by accident. We have to defend it, fight for it, strengthen it, renew it. We stand shoulder to shoulder with the Kenyan people during this election season. Our programs at the embassy support democratic values and, crucially, are non-partisan. As a longtime friend, the United States supports free, fair, and peaceful elections. And I'm confident that the close relationship built between the United States and Kenya over many decades will continue to blossom regardless of the outcome of the vote. Over the next few weeks and months, I will meet with political and civil society leaders, the media, and Kenyans throughout the country to hear their perspectives on how best our countries can work together to promote the democratic values that we share, including respect for the rule of law and fundamental freedoms. I also look forward to meeting with Kenyan business leaders, investors, entrepreneurs, and government officials as we continue to build on the U.S.-Kenya Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership that was announced by USTR Representative Catherine Tai and Cabinet Secretary for Industrialization, Trade, and Enterprise Development Betty Maina on July 14th. This partnership will pursue enhanced engagements between our governments, leading to high standards commitments in a wide range of areas with a view to increase investment and promote sustainable and inclusive economic growth benefiting workers, consumers, and businesses. The U.S.-Kenya relationship is critical to addressing key regional and global challenges, and this initiative represents the opportunity to work on shared priorities. I also am very concerned about the food insecurity issues affecting millions of people in the arid and semi-arid regions of the country caused by several years of drought and other climatic changes. Building on Administrator Power's recent visit, an announcement of $255 million in immediate humanitarian and development assistance, I will continue to coordinate across agencies to save lives and work closely with the national and county governments on long-term solutions. I echo Administrator Power's call for additional domestic and international support. So these are just a few of my priorities over the next few months as my team and I work to continue building the already enduring ties between our two countries. So thank you, and I'm now happy to take your questions.
So the first question is for NTV, for Leila from NTV.
Good morning.
Leila, please, the microphone. Please.
Good morning again. My name is Leila Mohammed from NTV Kenya. I have 3 questions for you if you can indulge me.
Okay.
1, you come from a business background. Diplomacy is something that you're wading into. How are you feeling now that you're in Nairobi? Question number 2, we are just under 48 hours into Kenya's probably hotly contested transitional election. The embassy released a statement last week. It released a lot of uproar, especially amongst a specific county, about security issues. Can you speak to that? And with the anniversary of the August 7th bombing, there have been some claims that the victims from Kenya are yet to be compensated for either having lost their family or being injured in that attack. Please speak to those questions. Thank you.
Good. Maybe no one else will have questions after those 3. So first, I am delighted to be in Nairobi. My husband and I arrived late Sunday night, and I am very honored to take up the post to be the U.S. ambassador to Kenya. I do have a lot to learn. You're right, my business background is different than diplomacy, but I'm excited about taking up this position and learning about this new line of work, if you will. I will say I think my business background can be very helpful to an important agenda item for both our countries, which is improved economic trade and development. So I do think that that business background will bring some new information and perhaps some new energy to bolstering trade between our 2 countries. On the Kisumu issue that you talked about, the United States Embassy has many people working in Kisumu and who are warmly welcomed there by the people. And we appreciate the hospitality of the government there and the people of Kisumu. But in abundance of caution, we issued a routine, and let me underscore routine, security alert, just to make sure that our people were on alert as to the situation that we all face here. So it was not pointed towards Kisumu. We have so many people there. That's why we mentioned that county. And we don't have any information that you don't have about any dangers. My top priority is the safety of the U.S. personnel and U.S. citizens in Kenya. So that's why we released that. And the alert does not really does not reflect the U.S. views on the outcome of the election. And then last, on the victims of Kenya, I am aware of that issue. I'm not aware of the solutions that are in progress. I've been 6 days on the job, so I will get back to you with what my understanding is on how those victims are, if and when, are going to be compensated. Thank you.
The next question is for the Star, Gradine.
My name is Eliud. I have 2 questions. One is regarding Kenyans have been having issues with the visa issue here, in the delays in interviews and the fee that is charged. What plan do you have to facilitate better process in that regard?
Yeah.
Secondly is the trade negotiations between the U.S. and Kenya. There has been delays around that. What plan do you have with the next administration that will be coming in?
Great. Thank you for those 2 questions. So around visa, I am aware of the very long wait times that Kenyans are experiencing to get visas to the United States, whether it's immigrant visas, non-immigrant visas, etc. And the situation is unacceptable. We need to find ways to accelerate those visa applications and getting people the visas they need to the United States. We welcome Kenyan visitors and we celebrate our strong people-to-people ties, and this is not helping that at the moment. So it is one of my top priorities, and I'll be working very closely with the consular staff here, as well as the entire embassy, to see how we can address this issue as fast as possible. But let me underscore, this is not acceptable, and we need to fix it. With regard to the trade negotiations, so the U.S. Trade and investment partnership that was announced by Catherine Tai and Betty Maina, I think is a great framework to build on the trade relationships between the United States and Kenya. I think there's a lot more that we can do, and I'm particularly focused on Kenyan exports to the United States, U.S. exports to Kenya, and then U.S. foreign direct investment in Kenya. So I'll be working very hard on that, and I think that new trade agreement is a great beginning framework that we can use to develop more trade between our two countries.
The East African, Agri.
Thank you. My name is Agri Mtambo for the East African. I have two questions. I just wanted to understand what differences you're bringing to Kenya-U.S. relations. And I want you to speak about the President Biden's administration vis-a-vis the predecessor's administration. I mean, there were certain issues that were being focused on. I want to know if there'll be any continuity or departure from that kind of relations. And then the second question is, there's been a flurry of diplomatic activity from the U.S. to Africa. I want to know if your kind of activity will be related to any of this Russia, Ukraine, Africa issues that have emerged in the recent past. Thank you.
Great. So I think one of the reasons that, and I was honored to be asked by President Biden to be the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, and I think one of the reasons is the United States recognizes the importance of Africa as a country. I think you all know the statistic that 1 out of every 4 people on Earth in 2050 will live on the African continent, and that Kenya is one of the most important countries in Africa. So I think, if you will, the flurry of diplomatic activity is a recognition of the importance of Africa over the long period. Senator Blinken has been here, Assistant Secretary Molly Fee, Samantha Powers, and Secretary Blinken is back in South Africa, I think, at the beginning or the end of this week. So I just want to underscore the importance of Africa and the importance of Kenya to the United States. With regard to President Biden, I'm an appointment of President Biden. I fully support the agenda of the United States and will do my very best to implement President Biden's agenda in Kenya. And I think those were your major questions. Thank you.
Citizen TV, Faisal.
Good morning. My name is Faisal Ahmed from Citizen TV. Welcome to Kenya. Most of my questions were asked, but there's one that I really wanted to focus on, and it's on the business relations, especially during this election period. Most foreign businesses tend to slow down around this period, especially if you look at maybe 2017 or 2013 towards the general elections, and it's not the case this time round. Maybe what sort of attitude or reactions are you seeing from the Kenyan side and the Kenyan people, particularly in these elections?
Right. Great. Thank you for the question. So I think that businesses and people gain confidence by free, fair, and transparent elections with a peaceful transfer of power. And I think there's a great deal of confidence, at least thus far, that the elections are on a very good trajectory. Everyone that I have talked to in my last 6 days, and I have not met with everyone for sure, is that there's a great deal more confidence in this election cycle. We'll obviously see what happens. But that confidence, that ability to showcase Kenya's democracy is incredibly important for foreign direct investment and trade. Businesses want to be in environments where there's some certainty, where you understand what will happen. Uncertainty is not the friend of businesses. I can tell you that from having led big companies. So I think to the extent that the Kenyan people can showcase Kenya as a vibrant, stable democracy will only help the ability to develop real increases in foreign trade between the United States and Kenya, which of course creates jobs here in Kenya and frankly jobs in the United States as well. And I think that notion of creating good jobs through foreign direct investment and trade can be incredibly valuable for both Kenya as well as the United States of America.
The Standard.
Good morning. My question, part of the plans of the Biden administration was to expand the fight on corruption. You've led very successful companies, and I believe that to lead such companies and to allow them to maybe get the success they have is to ensure that there's no corruption or very little corruption in that. So our leading presidential candidates, one of their main agendas is the fight against corruption. It's a huge problem in Kenya. How is the U.S. coming in? How are you coming in to offer that support and ensure we really beat this malady in our country?
Yeah. Well, I think everyone can agree that transparency is another element of building confidence in the people, in government, and by foreign direct investment and by, frankly, companies in Kenya. So I think we have very much a shared objective around improving transparency. We have a number of programs at the U.S. Embassy that are designed to further those initiatives that are led, frankly, now by the Kenyans, and I intend to do everything I can with the personnel and the resources of the U.S. Embassy to help that. But ultimately, it is up to the Kenyans and Kenyan businesses and the government of Kenya to fight for even more transparency than you have today.
Capital FM, Davis.
Good morning, Madam Ambassador. My name is Davis Egg from Capital FM. One question. 2 weeks ago, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission raised concerns about Facebook not being able to execute its mandate properly in regards to detecting hate speech content which is posted on their platform. And this coming 2 days or 1 day to the, just like my colleague had mentioned, to the hotly contested election. From where you sit as the new ambassador to Kenya, what's your general assessment to that? And going forward, how can the U.S. come in to intervene and ensure that Facebook plays its role correctly in reference to ensuring that such incidents of detecting hate speech content on their platform is done properly? Thank you.
A very good question. Thank you for that. So I think we can all agree that social media has tremendous advantages. It also has tremendous risks and concerns. And I think it is up to the users of social media, first of all, to refrain from hate speech, from these kinds of things. But I also agree that the companies who are responsible for these social media platforms have a real role to play as well. And as ambassador to Kenya, you know I have a long background in Silicon Valley. Many of these companies are in Silicon Valley. So as I understand deeply the challenges here in Kenya, I want to make sure that the companies who are responsible for these platforms also understand the positive and the negative effects around elections like this one coming. So you can be sure it'll be on my agenda to make sure that my colleagues in Silicon Valley deeply understand the challenges that social media creates and, frankly, the opportunities that it creates as well.
The world, Halima.
Thank you, Ambassador. 3 questions. As you know, there's a very vibrant startup culture and community here in Kenya. But a lot of Kenyan entrepreneurs I speak with say they run into problems and getting investment, getting venture capital, and feel like foreign-owned businesses here are prioritized. What would your approach be as ambassador to helping businesses scale up? Number 2, the past administration really framed its Africa policy through this great power competition with Russia and China. Has there been a change in the current administration in that approach, and how will you deal in a, so to say, crowded neighborhood? Number 3, simply, if you could just summarize, how do you see the U.S.'s role in Kenya during its election?
Good. So the startup community here in Kenya is very vibrant. You all are the technology leader, certainly of East Africa and possibly of all of Africa. And I think it is one of the reasons that President Biden asked me to take up this post is my technology experience. I don't know quite yet how to approach this issue here in Kenya. What I will tell you is in Silicon Valley, there's 3 legs to the stool, and I understand 3 legs to the stool is an important element of things in Kenya. I learned that at the memorial this morning. But first is the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are at the heart of all innovation. The second is venture capital. And I think this has to be a combination of local venture capital and perhaps international venture capital. But venture capital is absolutely critical. And the third is great universities, because those companies depend on great engineering coming out of the universities. And my understanding is you've got quite a number of very good engineering schools here that can provide the talent to these startups. So it's a function of entrepreneurs, money, and talent. Sometimes talent comes from other leading companies. We are deeply respectful of Safari.com and M-Pesa here. M-Pesa is the envy of payment systems around the globe. The fact that it is a combination of PayPal, Stripe, and Square all rolled into one is deeply impressive to those of us from Silicon Valley. So I think you've got a great head start. And I think that experience can also help these companies scale. With regard to your second question around China and Russia, our objective and my objective here is to build on the success of the Kenyan-American relationship. We want to do more business with Kenya. We want Kenya to do more business with the United States. And we want this to be a major place that U.S. companies invest, and frankly, other companies around the world. But to the extent that we can help create the environment for even more robust trade, I think benefits, as I said before, Kenya and America. So thank you for that question. Oh, U.S. role during Kenya's elections. Yes, thank you for that. So I know that our embassy team has been preparing for the last 18 months alongside Kenyan institutions, the religious leaders, civil society, and also, of course, the government to prepare to help aid free, fair, transparent elections. And as I said before, I think we're doing everything that we've done in the past, plus more. But again, we need to follow the Kenyan lead on creating the right environment for these elections. As I said to you, I think everyone feels more confidence as we're sitting here today on Sunday morning. Of course, we'll know more by Wednesday of next week. But we've done everything we can to be helpful to the Kenyan government and the Kenyan people to running free, fair, and transparent elections.
Deutsche Welle.
Good morning, Madam Ambassador. Just a few months ago, the Supreme Court in the U.S., in the Roe versus Wade ruling, President Biden described the ruling as something that took America back. My question is, the United States has been supporting several reproductive health programs in Kenya and in Africa at large. What impact does the ruling that was made by the U.S. Supreme Court have on reproductive health and people who feel like they'd actually want to stop the reproductive process?
Yeah. So as I understand it, and I'm sure you know this, the policy of the Biden administration is to defend reproductive rights both in the United States and perhaps elsewhere around the world. So I anticipate that the U.S. Embassy's stance on this will not change as a result of the Supreme Court, but I will research that question more thoroughly and make sure I am right on that. But I believe that we will continue to support reproductive health as we have in Kenya for a number of years.
The last question is for KTN, Purity.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Madam Ambassador, to Kenya. And I'm grateful that food security is one of your top agenda here in Kenya because as we head to the ballot, the major concern by Kenyans is the fact that most families are not able to put food on the table. That's for a fact. And this is tied to the increased rate of unemployment in this country. Would you be a bit specific on how the U.S. is hoping or planning to address the issue of food insecurity in the country, especially on the high cost of living? Then on the security alert, just on the follow-up, because we have a body here in Kenya, NCSC, that maps different counties, but then to be specific on Kisumu County was a bit raised concern because that's where one of the presidential candidates comes from. Yeah. So I would ask, why Kisumu? Yes, it's a routine security alert, but why Kisumu? Do you always have an alert about Kisumu when we head to the elections? It's important that Kenyans understand that. Then the Kenyan election, lastly, you know, in 2013, in 2007, in also 2007, we saw, we usually experience post-election violence. And as much as you're saying that the U.S. is keen on ensuring that Kenyans, as they go to the ballot, there is a free and fair election, but how again are you going to ensure that? Because as you speak, Nairobi, it's empty. Most people have transported their families home because they fear there might be a post-election violence. How is the U.S. going to come in, and are you planning to come in strongly and assure Kenyans that as the United States of America, then we will not have to experience this kind of a cycle?
Great. Well, let me ask this, the Kisumu security question. The reason that we issued alert around Kisumu is this is the second largest population of Americans outside of Nairobi. So it is because we have a large number of American citizens and a very large number of embassy personnel in Kisumu. So let me just underscore that does not in any way reflect the U.S. views on the outcome of the election. It was a routine security alert because that's where the highest number of our people are. If we had a large number of people in another area, we probably would have added that county as well. On food security, as I said, Samantha Powers just announced a $255 million increase in funding to help the immediate needs. But I think your point is well taken, that ultimately employment and really working on long-term solutions to the climatic change that is driving this drought is equally important to the immediate relief. We have immediate people who need real help now, but we also have to work on the long term. And that's why I think the importance of trade, the importance of building businesses, the importance of venture capital and entrepreneurs in Kenya is so important to that long-term solve. And then, of course, you know, the climate change initiatives. There's no question that sub-Saharan Africa is being more deeply affected by climate change than many other places around the world. With regard to security, I would underscore that I think we play a supporting role to the Kenyan government to run violent-free elections, that we cannot take responsibility for that. We can only be helpful in our long-term relationship with you know, the police and others, but ultimately it is up to the Kenyans to run violent-free elections. We can play a supporting role. We have lots of programs that we are helping with, but ultimately this is a Kenyan election held by the Kenyan people, run by the Kenyan government. We can play a supporting role, but it is the Kenyans. You all are on first base in an American baseball analogy. So, great.
Well, thank you, Ambassador Whitman. That concludes today's press conference. Thank you all for being here, and we really do appreciate all that the press does to promote free, fair, and peaceful elections. Again, this concludes our press conference for today, and we'll see you again another day. Thank you.
Great, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you, and we will welcome you to the embassy over the next several years that I'm here. And again, thank you for the role that you play in a vibrant democracy. Really appreciate it. Thank you.